12 months on from the chaos and the carnage of a sudden, badly managed withdrawal, Afghanistan has all but disappeared from our nightly news bulletins. Yet right across this country, they're living with the consequences of a decision made a world away in Washington. Here in the capital and elsewhere, the queues at the UN's World Food Programme feeding stations are constant. Afghans who just a year earlier held down respectable jobs, now forced to beg for handouts.
My husband was martyred the day the Taliban came to power a year ago. We had some savings from his service to the Afghan army over the last 15 years. Now all that is finished.
People cannot afford things from my shop now. There's no business for people.
The sanctions have had a huge impact on our businesses. The Afghan assets frozen by America are essential for food security and the value of our currency.
The United Nations has described the situation here as the world's largest humanitarian disaster, with over half the population facing the threat of starvation. It is the outcome many had feared, that they'd warned would follow from the decision by US President Joe Biden to exit Afghanistan 2 decades after coalition forces first entered this country. The Taliban took full advantage, and as they rolled towards and then into the capital, panicked Afghans, many who'd worked for the government and coalition forces, scrambled to get out. At Kabul airport, US, British and other troops tried their best to manage the withdrawal, but increasingly desperate locals broke through the airport's perimeter. In horrifying scenes, some jumped onto one departing US aircraft, only to plunge to their deaths as it gathered speed and took off. As the world watched, President Biden doubled down on his decision to pull out.
I was not going to extend this forever war, and I was not extending a forever exit.
Just days before the end of the pullout, in the huge sewage canal alongside the airport, where thousands had been queuing, a suicide bomb attack by the Islamic State. 13 members of the US military were among the more than 180 killed. Right across the political spectrum, in the US and beyond, President Biden's handling of the Afghan withdrawal has been widely criticised, branded a low point in America's standing in the world. Many analysts believe it simply emboldened autocrats like Vladimir Putin.
The message that our withdrawal sent to the world, which I believe helped encourage President Putin to invade Ukraine. I think the reduction in US international credibility and reliability, I think, has made the world much, much less safe.
In the years since the pullout, the UK has taken more than 20,000 Afghans as part of the resettlement programme, but many more remain trapped in country and unable to leave. Throughout Afghanistan, Taliban promises they've changed, that women could continue to work and girls would get a full education, have fallen way short. On the security side, fears remain that extremist groups will continue to take hold here. One Western documentary maker who spent a significant amount of time with the Taliban has documented their continued fight against Islamic State. It's one extremist group he says the Taliban seem determined to confront.
The strong part of the Taliban is actually security. They have been fighting Islamic State for 6 years now. So that's the thing they can do. And they are not doing this to satisfy the Western audiences. They are doing this because they want the Islamic State eliminated in Afghanistan.
But last month's US drone strike, which targeted and killed the al-Qaeda leader in Afghanistan, highlights the continued security concerns here. Ayman al-Zawahiri had been living in a property in Kabul, reportedly owned by a top aide to a Taliban government official. 12 months on from the Western withdrawal here, the Taliban may be celebrating, but the extremist threat remains. The humanitarian crisis is worsening, and the freedoms spoken of by the new government are yet another false promise to the long-suffering people of this beautiful but troubled nation. Mark White, GB News.